Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul IZZATUL AMIRA binti Baharudin. Today, me and my friends would like to present about the inflation in Malaysia. Inflation in Malaysia. Malaysia is recognized for its aggressive economic initiative. Its rate was remarkably low by worldwide standards despite this important economic expansion throughout the year in 1980s and 1990s. It has been reasonably low even after the catastrophic Asian financial crisis in 1997 and 1998 and dramatic collapse of the ringgit in year in 1997 and 1998. So, what's the problem and incentive of inflation that given by Bank Negara Malaysia? Inflation is the decline of purchasing power of given currency over time. A quantitative estimate of the rate at which the decline in purchasing power occurs can be reflected in the increase of average price level of basket of selected goods services in an economy over some period of time. The direct impact on realized inflation, including consumption, saving, borrowing, wage bargaining, drive a wide range of individual company decisions. It is representing a key variable during economic crisis, which is inflation risks typically are not the one we'll be discussing it when immediate policy response has to be designed. The reason why the economist concerns about the inflation because rising inflation means we have to pay more for the same goods and service. So what the incentive for inflation is, manage inflation using the monetary policy by raising the interest rate. By raising the interest rate, we can maintain the type of monetary policy is an integral part of economic stabilization policy package.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Siti NIRWARA, binti AZWAN. Today I will present about the analysis of inflation rate and economic growth. The rate of inflation is measured using a variety of indicators. So the process of calculating the CPI is a complicated process because the consumer basket has many items. So we can look at the figure 1. In year 2010, the data shows 1.623%, and in year 2011, this inflation in Malaysia is increasing to 3.174%, but it become decreased to 1.664% in year 2012. And also increasing in year 2014, that is 3.143%, and in year 2015 it was 2.104%, and it was a slight decrease in percentage of the year 2016, that is 2.091%. So it's starting drop in year 2019 and 2020 respectively. There are 0.663%, and in year 2020 it become negative 1.339%. So for figure 2, I'm found at the World Bank the GDP growth data for Malaysia in year 2010 until year 2020. So refer to the figure 2. In year 2011, the percentage decreased to 5.294%. And for the next year, that is 2012, it increased a slight percentage to 5.473%. And in year 2018, it decreased with percentage become 4.843%. And in year 2019, it become a 4.439%. So for the year 2020, the percentage is greatly decreased to be negative 5.647%.
Hi, my name is SYUHADA binti MOHAMAD. I will be presenting about effects of inflation on Malaysian economy. Inflation on November 2010 is rate at only 2%. Inflation rate and stock price have negative correlation. As a result of inflation, the cost of living and production will rise. So, the number of investors will be less interest to invest than they were before inflations. In contrary, it's generally believed that the inflation is risking the economic growth of Malaysia. Data revealed that inflation had a considerable beneficial influence on Malaysia's economic growth. This starts from early concern about the country faltering economy. GDP growth dropped from 7.43% in 2010 to 5.19% in 2011. Or the country's negative budget deficit in relation to GDP which peaked at negative 4.99% in 2010. Therefore, the country national debt was also increasing during this time. But forecasts assume that this trend is changing. Malaysia's economic forecast and rate of inflation appear to be steady in the future, and the inflation rate is lower than the worldwide inflation rate. Table above show the relationship between BLR and OPR from year 2010 to year 2020. As you can see, the OPR movement trend is the same as BLR rate.
Hi, my name is SITI NURHAMIZAH binti AZIZ. Card metric number 2017777-719. Monetary policy is a set of tools that central bank use to drive long-term economic growth by limiting the amount available to central bank, their customer and business. First is contractive monetary policy is a good strategy to curb inflation. They aim to limit the money supply in the economy by raising interest rate and lowering bond price. Term federal fund rate is called Federal Open Market Community, FOMC. This is overnight rate at which commercial banks borrow and lend excess reserve to each other. It is used to support economic growth. When banks raise interest rate, fewer people want to borrow money because it is more expensive, while money comes at a higher interest rate. That is reserve requirement, the minimum amount a bank must hold to cover a withdrawal. The more money a bank has to reserve, the less money it can lend to consumer. Reserve deposits are a central bank rule that set a minimum amount of liquid asset that a commercial bank must hold. Reducing money supply. The approach to reduce the money supply directly or indirectly by introducing laws that support the reduction of the money supply. Two examples of this area is recovery of government debt and increase in bond interest rate to encourage more investors to buy. Lastly is discount rate inflation is the process by which price rise over time and can be used to estimate the value of future money. Discount rate, on other hand, are terms applied only to people and business.
For the conclusion, it demonstrates that the Malaysian government plan to limit the inflation rate at a set level has been successful thus far. So as a result, we believe that this approach should be continued in the future. So that's also serve as a helpful lesson for other countries in the area. Government involvement to prevent inflation should be seen favorable, especially if it results in something benefit in the long term. Other than that, we also conclude that this inflation data in our country, Malaysia, the percentage was decreased and increased will depend on the factor of inflation. So that's all from us for the inflation in Malaysia. Thank you.